Hey everyone, for those that don't know me, my name is Sean Marin and I'm a Spinal Energetics practitioner and coach. So I work for myself now. I love what I do. I love helping people connect and reconnect to their body, to really tap into the innate wisdom of their body so they can heal and thrive. But a few clients of mine, and also a couple of prospective clients as well, have asked me in the last couple of days, like, what's your story? Like, how do you go from being a probation officer to working for yourself doing this kind of work? So I thought I would tell you a little Sean story. So I started working for the probation service, in 2012, I think it was. No, 14, sorry. So I was a probation officer for a few years, and then I moved to work for the business and I was responsible for staff support and well-being. But how did I get from there to here? So I was doing probation work, casework for a very long time, and it is intense work with people. We're working with the most deprived, socially neglected and traumatized people in society often. So I found myself in a space where I was burnt out. I was having panic attacks. I was feeling very, very intensely anxious all of the time. I thought it was who I was. It was my personality. And I was really struggling. And my lovely friend, Lucy, and she's one of my favorite humans on this earth, she booked me a Reiki session at the time. So I think this was maybe, 2018, 2019, sometime around there. And I went to this session. I actually thought I was getting reflexology, with the feet. So I arrived and I lie down on this bed and I'm like, cool. I went straight after work. So body's like, meh, busy day. So I lie down and I'm like, oh, this is nice. And I had the Reiki session. Nothing crazily dramatic happened, but I remember walking out of this woman's house. I took a breath outside of her door and I thought, fuck, I actually feel peaceful for the first time in a really, really long time. So as I know now, the body stores unprocessed trauma, emotions, experiences, beliefs, and at the time I was dealing with a lifelong autoimmune issue, Hashimoto's. So my hair was falling out. I had a very crappy quality of life, to be honest. I think I was like 24 at this point. And I was just feeling awful. So when I had the Reiki session, I started investing in exploring like the world of energy and what it meant. So Reiki 1, when you do Reiki 1, it's about self-healing. So I thought, you know what else is possible for me? I am not happy doing what I'm doing right now, but feeling the way that I am in my body. And I can't cope with feeling this anxious and shit all the time. So I enrolled to Reiki 1 and I did the weekend and I was like, wow, I feel excellent in my body. I feel peaceful. I can feel all this energy kind of just like rolling through me in a way that I haven't before. And I was feeling in my body. So generally I would be extremely disassociated and disconnected from myself. So it's like the first taste of, is this what it feels like to be in your body? Is this what it feels like to release stagnant energy that has been, in my field, in my body, in my system for a long time? So pretty soon after I did Reiki 1, I was like, I need to do this for other people. And that's what I did. So I was still working as a probation officer. I was progressively getting better. So I'm also an aromatherapist and massage therapist. So at the same time, I trained in all sorts of different healing modalities to help me out. So essential oils was a really big part of supporting my recovery from the Hashimoto's. And I completely healed and my health was better than it had been for a really long time. Still working as a probation officer, moved into the staff wellbeing and support role. I believe wholeheartedly that most public sector agencies, certainly in the UK, don't have the structures in place to support the staff adequately for the work that they do. So I did that for a few years and I would do the Reiki on the side. So I just loved it. It made me feel so good to work with people, and people were having such almost unbelievable experiences, you know, transformative, all of these kind of journeys where they were going into childhood memories, or just feeling more relaxed than they had done in a long time, sleeping when they'd been experiencing insomnia for years and years and years. One of my clients had really extreme high blood pressure and had the blood pressure monitor. So every time we would do a Reiki session with her, her blood pressure would drop significantly. So it kind of started from there. So I would do this on the side. And if I'm honest with myself, I was like, how can I go from being like a professional to what do you do? Like, I'm an energy healer. This is what I do now. I had a lot of my identity attached to the fact that I'd achieved something. I was doing a reputable job, and there was so much of the work that I did and work for the probation service that really has led me on this path. I'm so grateful for it. It taught me so much about people, about how I relate to people, about energy, about trauma, and I wouldn't change it for the world. So fast forward a little bit, I was half in, half out, the whole energy work thing. I loved it, but I wasn't really in a headspace to want or need to go all in on it. I was still hiding, you know, so many people who do that, like my kind of work now, you have like this stage where you're like, A, am I crazy? B, are people going to think I'm fucking crazy if I come out and say that I'm doing this? So I had all of those thoughts. I was hiding from myself in lots of different ways. And about, God, how long ago was it now? 2.5 years? Maybe just a little bit over now. My husband, so we were together for pretty much a decade. So we met when we were very young. He one day just turns around, says he doesn't love me, and leaves me. And I could be the underestimation of the century, but I was in a complete mess. Never been in a darker place in my life. I was extremely depressed. I was in a bad spot. So I carried on with my energy work for a bit, but then I just needed some time to myself. So when our house sold, I basically quit my job. So they were pulling all trained probation officers back to the front line because of staffing issues. And I just had this moment in time. I always knew that probation wasn't going to be my forever. It didn't fit. I knew it from the beginning, but I knew I was there for a purpose. And I knew that there was things I needed to learn, people I needed to meet, life that I needed to live to move on to that next part. So when my boss said I was on this secondment and it was a lot more money, and I didn't actually really like it. I was in the communications team, and for me it just didn't resonate, because I was like, why are we doing this though? Like I can't see how we're making a tangible difference to people's lives in the same way as I had before. So didn't really like it. So I literally quit on the spot. She was like, oh, you're going back to being a probation officer. So this is not long after me and my ex-husband split up, and I was just like, this is the time. I could feel it with everything in my body, and I always knew when I started in probation that there would be this moment where I would just know. And in this moment, I just knew. So I quit. And my boss was like, whoa, like, nobody quits this kind of job, you know? Think about it. You're going through a lot. And I took the evening. I didn't think about it once more. And yeah, officially gave my notice the next day. And when our house sold, so I was doing the training, I was doing some self-healing work / like constantly daily trying to dig myself out of a pit of depression and anxiety. And when our house sold, I basically booked a one-way ticket to Peru. It was on the top of my bucket list. I wanted to do Machu Picchu, and yeah, the person I was with before didn't want to do that with me, so I was like, haha, I'm gonna go there. So I went to Peru and I embarked on the most amazing journey around South America. And I met some people in this Selena hostel. That I love the Selena hostels just because they're great for meeting solo travelers. So I was traveling on my own, and I met these people. You have that inevitable conversation, don't you? Like, what do you do in life? And I was like, Well, not sure what any of this is about. But I said, I was a probation officer, like I've just quit, but actually I do energy work. And there was so much like buzz and interest around the table. But if I'm honest with myself, I was in so much of a hole, I'd completely dropped it. I was just a bit like, I can't support anybody else. I'm a complete mess. And people were really interested. And energetically, I was very lent back. I was like, ugh. Yeah, I do Reiki. Like, yeah, for me, it's been amazing. Like, I really love doing it. And, I could just feel, sometimes where you can just feel that there's a presence around you and you like pay attention. Like, I kind of feel it building. And I was like, interesting. And these two people were like, well, I'd like a session. Can you do me a session? And again, in that moment, it was a bit like, oh, do I want to? I don't know. I'd kind of detached from so much of what I was doing in my day-to-day before me and my ex-husband split up, but I just got this full body yes. I was like, sure, why not? So we did it. We did 2 separate sessions. They were unreal, like how alive I felt in my body and how transformative the experiences were for the people. It was unreal. One had this full body spasm release, and the other one again was like, I feel so peaceful, so much clearer than I have done in such a long time. And they've actually both had distance sessions with me, and one of them is one of my best friends now. But it just kind of reignited this fire I had for it. And as I traveled, people just came out of the woodwork. I wasn't even like coming forward energetically and being like, I do energy work, want some? And it just kind of happened. The universe brought people to me, and I just loved it. And at the time I was just like, this is fun. Like, I love doing this, especially whilst I'm traveling. It helps people. It gives me some of my why. And I just loved it, and it snowballed from there. So I noticed in my Reiki practice, so I never really, Cosmo in the background, I never really did the traditional like Reiki hand movements. I wasn't really 100% sold on some of the structures of the modality. So I noticed that my hands were starting to do different things, and I was tracking into it, and I was like, oh, I want to do this in their body. Like, oh, I can feel this in someone's energy field. And I was starting to make different kind of movements, and my practice was progressing. And I was like, this is interesting. For me, when I'm working with clients, it's all about whether this is going to create more for them. And I'm very conscious about doing things ethically and safely. So I was doing these things, and I was like, wow, people are getting some really, really amazing shifts and releases from this work. And then one day on Instagram, as we find a lot of our information these days, I saw this video of Dr. Sarah Jane, who I know really well now. She is the founder of Spinal Energetics. And I was seeing these videos. I'm like, wait, she's doing what I'm doing. As in, this is what I'm feeling called to do, pulling through the layers of the field and like fueling, which isn't traditionally what you would do in Reiki. And I obviously clicked on her page, and I was like, interesting. Like, what is this? Spinal Energetics. And I just knew I had this full body. Wow, this is what I need to do. So she was in Australia and only training people in Australia. At this time, I was in Colombia. And I said to the universe, universe, I'm getting a full body yes for this. I feel like this is my missing jigsaw piece to, it wasn't even my business, because I didn't even have that comprehension, but I was just like, oh, I need to do this. So I said, universe, if it's meant to happen, make a course. Make it so that she's doing some training this side of the world in the Americas. So a few weeks later, she announced that she was running a course in Mexico. So I saw that. I was like, boom, got my yes. Applied instantaneously. And the rest is history, really. So I went to the Spinal Energetics training. It really helped me reconnect with myself on a new level. It is special. And I've done lots of different energy healing, all sorts of modalities, and there is something about Spinal Energetics that gets to places in our field, in our consciousness, whatever it is, that other modalities have not been able to. And Spinal Energetics in the actual training, it actually allowed me to process the end of my divorce. I live by the knowledge now that a lot of the disease in our body, if not all, the root cause of that is unprocessed emotions and trauma that we store in the body. So if we don't feel safe to feel them at the time they get stored, and that is what drives stagnancy in our, energy channeled and in our body, and that's what drives disease and makes us feel like shit. So it helped me again on my healing journey with my divorce, and things just snowballed from there. People were coming out of nowhere, and I had this moment where I was like, am I actually going to go all in on this? Am I going to take this on as who I am? And the answer just had to be yes. So I found Spinal Energetics. I've been doing it now. I trained last April, so April 2023. So I've been doing it, just over a year now, and it's life-changing. I love it. And the impact that it has for my clients and how I feel when I'm holding the space and creating the safety for people to be able to drop into their body and to release what it is that they need to finally find the peace, the self-acceptance, the clarity, the health that they deserve. I can't tell you, I feel just alive like I never have. So thank you, universe, more please. And that's what I help people do now, and this is my life. I travel full time, although I'm just about to go to Canada and find a little home base, and I am just so committed to bringing this modality and bringing what it has to offer to the world, and helping Dr. Sarah Jane and her team and the community that we have to help people reconnect with themselves and realize that we have absolutely everything that we could possibly need to heal, to thrive within us. Spinal Energetics isn't about something being done to. We're not like coming in and doing something to you. What we're doing is encouraging your body to remember what it innately knows what to do, which is heal, which is thrive. And I was shocked that my body just knew exactly what to do. And as I got more and more attuned to the spinal energy, my body just releases and processes on its own now. And I can't tell you how empowering that is for me as someone who was so disconnected from themselves and so ill and feeling like complete shit for so long, to help other people do that as well for themselves and to be able to hold that space with people. It is nothing short of a privilege. So that's my Sean story to now, and who knows what the future holds. But let me know if you've got any questions about Spinal Energetics or about my journey. And I just would love to get to know some of you guys.